That's right. Smells so good in here this morning. Lucy, good to see you again.
You too, thank you.
Pumpkin month continues.
It does. We are on our third pumpkin recipe. So today we are making a pumpkin soup, and to go with it, we are going to make a bacon and tomato and goat cheese grilled cheese.
Whoa.
I know. So
I like that.
Already in the pot, I went ahead and started with 2 tablespoons of butter in here. And this is a medium sweet onion that I just sliced up. So I have it over medium heat, and I want to let these cook for about 20 minutes so they can start to caramelize. So that's why I already have those going.
Okay.
And then I also already built one sandwich. I think it's actually ready to flip. So I'm going to flip it, and then I thought we could go ahead and build the sandwich. Yep.
Looks good.
So that's looking good. I just have a little bit of butter in that pan. So the sandwich is real simple, and I already cooked some bacon, and just use whatever bread you'd like. And I just bought an herb goat cheese. You could certainly use plain, and if you of course don't like goat cheese, then you could use whatever cheese that you wanted, but I just thought that the goat cheese would go really well with the creaminess of the pumpkin soup. And it is kind of rich, so we're adding these tomatoes on here to give a little bit of acid and cut some of that richness. So
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, anything that has to do with cheese and bacon is definitely a good idea for me. So I'm just going to put goat cheese on both sides, but I'm going to start with this side. And I already sliced the tomatoes up, and I just did a little bit of salt and pepper on those. I'm just going to do 2 pieces of bacon, and we'll go ahead and get it down in our pan, and then we'll put the goat cheese on the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes when I slice a tomato like that, I like to actually use garlic salt on it just to eat by itself.
Yeah.
But you've got garlic in the garlic and herb goat cheese, so all those flavors are still coming together.
Yeah.
Like a fantastic combination.
Fantastic
How
combination.
about that?
I know it. Well, hey, that'd be a good idea. If you didn't have any herb goat cheese, you could just throw some garlic salt on the tomatoes if you just had plain goat cheese.
Yeah. So tell us what's going on at Greer's lately, Lucy.
We are always excited about the fall. I mean, the stores are so pretty with the mums outside and all the pumpkins and all the Halloween candy out there. So we've been having a lot of fun. Just, you know, it's kind of nice that we're back around getting to a holiday season. Just with, you know, the tough times that everybody's been through. So we have everything out there for trick-or-treating. We have everything out there for football parties, of course. I've been spending a lot of time down at our new store on St. Louis Street. So if you haven't been yet, it's at the corner of St. Louis and Jackson. It's just a couple blocks off of Dauphin Street. And it's fun because each day that we're open, there's new customers coming in.
Yeah.
So everybody is really enjoying it. And the weather's been great, so we've had so many people on the rooftop and out on the patio eating and enjoying the weather. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, come down and see us.
Do you know how late that store is open?
Yeah, we're open till 10 o'clock every day except Sunday. We're open till 9, and we open at 7. So we're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and for after dinner drinks or, you know, get-togethers. We have coffee and Cammie's Old Dutch, and then, you know, of course, everything that you need in a regular grocery store too. So it's a fun time for kids and adults, which is nice.
Maybe after Friday soccer practice, I'll swing by for some weekend meats.
Hey, and Eli deserves some ice cream after soccer practice.
He does, he does. All right, sounds good. We're going to continue to work on this. Man, it smells so great in here, Chelsea.
All right, welcome back to Studio 10 with Lucy live on this Wednesday morning. She is continuing her pumpkin series, and today we've got a pumpkin soup, but there's also a few sandwiches right here.
There is. We haven't gotten started too much on our pumpkin soup besides caramelizing our onions here. And I started that in a couple tablespoons of butter and just did 1 medium sweet onion. That's what everybody's smelling in the studio. We're like, what does that smell?
Everybody's
it's
like,
butter and onions.
What is she making?
So I'm going to add a couple cloves of garlic. And I just chopped up, and then I have a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then I'm just going to let this cook for about a minute, and then we can cut into one of our sandwiches.
Oh, let's go ahead and do that.
I know. So what we did already is we have our bacon and tomato. I'm going to reach right here and just grab one. Bacon, tomato, and herb goat cheese, grilled cheese. And so we put the herb goat cheese on both sides of the bread, and we had a couple of slices of bacon that we cooked, and then we put a couple of slices of some fresh tomato on there and just did it like a grilled cheese. And so now we have the goat cheese is all melted. Can I see it? Where are you, Mick?
Woo! Back.
There
There you go.
So
Yum.
that is going to go delicious with our soup.
So the soup isn't really soup just yet because we only
Not
have
yet.
the onions and the garlic, all the good stuff. But the heart of this is the pumpkin filling that you
Yes.
brought.
So now that we have the, we just let that garlic go for about a minute. So now we can add in, get going with it. So I'm going to add in 3 cups of chicken broth. I'm gonna add a cup of water too.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we're gonna use 2 cans of our pumpkin puree. And this is what we've been using in all of our recipes. It's just the pure pumpkin and not the pie filling. And we're gonna add 2 cans of that. And we're just gonna let this simmer for about 20 minutes. And then a little bit later on, we're going to just add a touch of cream to it. And we're gonna, you can either use an immersion blender to make it smooth, or of course you could do it in batches in a blender.
Right.
Just to make it smooth and silky.
I am just amazed by this recipe, how simple it is. Like
Yes.
seriously, only a handful of ingredients.
Only a handful, and you know, I love butternut squash soup, and it's definitely the same flavor profile. It's just a lot easier than cutting up the butternut squash or cutting up pumpkin. I mean, you could do the same thing if you wanted to do it with, you know, the cooking pumpkins.
Yeah.
You just roast it off first, and then, you know, add it in and blend it up. So if you did want to go that route, or if you wanted to turn this into butternut squash soup, you could do the same thing, just sub out some roasted butternut squash, or you could get frozen butternut squash now. You know, there's that now too. So it's definitely versatile.
Well, a lot of options for you at home. Before we toss it back to Joe, I want to ask what you're making next week on Studio 10 with
Okay.
Pumpkin. It's our last pumpkin
It
series.
is. We're making pumpkin brownies. I knew you'd like that. So we've had a couple sweet recipes with pumpkin
Sure.
and a couple savory recipes with pumpkin, and then we'll be moving on to Thanksgiving food. So it's hard to
Man.
believe.
Wild. All right, we'll finish this recipe up with Joe coming up. Joe.
Welcome back. I'm Joe Eamer. This is Sir Mix-a-Lot next to me. You missed the commercial break. You do your thing real quick so
right.
they can see what it is.
Too loud for TV.
Yeah. So what are you mixing there?
Okay, I'm mixing our pumpkin soup.
Nice.
My mother texted, is it necessary to blend it? So, great question, Mom. Not necessarily. I just wanted it really smooth because we did have our caramelized onions in there. But if you didn't want to blend it, you know, don't blend it. So I'm just using an immersion blender. At this point, you could also use a blender. Just remember, if you are ever going to mix a soup in a blender, if it's hot, it's going to expand. So only fill that blender like halfway full. Don't fill it all the way to the top and then turn it on. It's gonna go whoosh. So just a little warning there.
That is a good tip.
So, but I had this little immersion blender, so I was just kind of smoothing it out a little bit. And this is what we started with in the pot, was the onions that we caramelized, like I mentioned. And then we added our pure pumpkin puree. We added some chicken broth and a little bit of water and just salt and pepper, some garlic. And now I'm just going to add in just about half a cup. You can use cream or half and half, just to give it a little bit of a silky richness.
That's
And
easy to remember. Half a cup of half and half.
yeah, there we go. And you could add more water if you wanted it, you know, on thinner than this, or, you know, or not. So just whatever texture and consistency you wanted, blended or not, and it is ready to go, and it's gonna go great with that sandwich that we made.
Man, so great. So let's take a look at the finished pairing here. If we can get a shot of the sandwich. For folks just tuning in, we didn't say in this third segment what's in the sandwich.
Okay, that is our bacon, tomato, and herb goat cheese grilled cheese. So we just layered that up and cooked it like a regular grilled cheese, and it's going to go great with the soup or any soup. It'd be, of course, great with tomato soup too.
All right, you can find the recipe, of course. We'll have that online for you. Stop into any of the several Greer's locations throughout our viewing area. And again, another plug for the brand new downtown location on St. Louis Street. What a phenomenal store that is.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody can come visit if they haven't.
Pumpkin brownies next week with Lucy Greer. Chelsea, you can find all this information on a Dell computer.
And if you didn't watch the first part of the show, you have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, and there's hot soup for your Wednesday. Lucy's soup and grilled cheese. You'll find the recipe on fox10tv.com in just a minute.